Stu Watson.
Yeah, in addition to that, I also run a poetry magazine that's called Prelude, which you can find online and in print. It comes out once a year and every month online. And I'm just going to read some pieces from a book that I wrote last summer that's called Berlin Alexanderplatz. It's a book of poems about the city of Berlin and about a couple of other related, or maybe unrelated, topics. And it sort of jumps around. It's not that linear, it's not that narrative, but I'll just read from the first section. And yeah, it's really great to be here. Thanks for having me. Berlin Alexanderplatz. So much to learn about the Soviet space program, but still, where did it lead? To nothingness, the likes of which we'd only dreamed before. And yet, here we are, reading in our library, bored out of mind and body, lulled by this ripe summer mood, swelled up to wash us down. By early 1955, the legal status of space still hadn't been defined. So would the Soviets accept a flyover by an American satellite? They're not protesting it would help establish the precedent, of course. They claimed that all of this was for peaceful purposes, although finally it didn't matter because Sputnik beat the Americans into space. Along the western coast of Ireland, Canadian bodies wash ashore, are buried nearby their plane destroyed by U-boat fire. The only monument to these men are their graves. They rest all but forgotten, each one of 40,000 Canadians who gave their lives as part of a moral obligation or for other reasons, colonial. There is a specter haunting Egypt, a scepter causing havoc to bivouac when faced with torpedo attack, gripped like my hand, cinching tight the shopping sack as I walk from the store through the night. Napoleon is but a shallow ghost a tomb can hold, whereas with Alexander there's no question of his even being buriable, too large to be anything but printed, incised, burned into metal, scored. When you're on the front line, you meet the enemy face to face, and he meets you. Fast-moving armored forces, impossible to avert, at least at first. Dinner of choices, larder full of passions for duck. Speed, always a decisive factor in the early days of war. No one wants a part, but when you have it, then you come to need it, like a segment in love with sudden triangularity. You welcome this new arrangement, where you are instrument bled blunt. Devastating fall of fire from the sky, rain of bombs and bullets, falling planes, explosions everywhere, children blown apart, and there he is, still grinning, unloading triggerfuls in a dance, parading like a miraculous error, this haughty, knowing order. I remember being lost there, on my first arrival, confused by how I was supposed to orient myself and find my way to where I would be staying, completely unable to conjure a word in any language, overwhelmed, staring at the TV tower there. Come, as he kneels in praise. Oh, what will happen to us all, as crossing railway bells ring out, when all we know of how it goes, spread out in the dim hole, steam, unknown tracks rip words-shaped holes right in an arm, and we shoot back as we are not unable to respond, and they, that minute, seemed to reverse field, and then they drove over the dead, as later we would, also, and they had wives and families, but that's war, and every Rommel launches his counterattack at once, and we cannot sustain our spirit in the rout so long expected and likewise delayed, all things delayed under our grim regime, our mirthful, sentimental rule of cards and uncut thumbs. Completer sentences in the field. Refer back harder. Then the trim determiner allows that we'll all oscillate. It shows. After the crash, he brandished goods relying on draw. Too many empty. We elongated ones remain. Zero bleed. Kriegsmaschine. Now one is being nothingness, zero nothingness, now one of zero and being. The catapult is full, then empty, then full, etc. Walls crumble before walled 1-0 in here. Nothing to do, nothing to say, nothing to be. No matter what you are, there he is, where you should be, all but less than he, whom thunder, 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 let it be, made greater. Thank you very much.